The state would argue that the brothers planned the shootings, purchased the weapons, set up an elaborate alibi, and then went off on a spending spree. But the case turned out to be anything but straightforward. Just weeks before the trial began, lawyers for Eric and Lyle Menendez dropped a bombshell.
They were in imminent danger of death or great bodily injury at the hands of their parents.
The brothers did an about-face. They went from publicly denying any knowledge of the killings to admitting they pulled the triggers. The reason was equally shocking. The brothers said they killed in self-defense after years of sexual and emotional abuse by their parents. It was an unusual defense.
These people put this in operation. They terrorized their children. They made them that frightened. And as far as I'm concerned, morally, they're hardly in a position to complain that it worked too well.
Attorney Leslie Abramson is representing Eric Menendez. She has a fighter's reputation in the courtroom, having saved many of her clients from death row. Jill Lansing, a former public defender, is Lyle Menendez's lawyer.
I remember the first day I met him at the jail, and I said the same thing to him that everybody else always asks me, oh, it must be really terrible given the lifestyle that you've had to be in jail. And his answer was, in some ways it's easier than living at home.
Lansing says that Eric and Lyle Menendez grew up scared of their father, Jose. The brothers say their father raped them. Lyle says until he was 8. Eric says the sexual abuse continued until just before the killings.
They saw unending cruelty, no affection, no warmth, no love, no caring, no nurturing.
The brothers claim that when they threatened to reveal the family secret, their parents plotted to kill them. They say they had to kill first to avoid being killed themselves.
I obviously truly believe they would have never done this but for the fact they believed that they were going to be killed. It makes no sense. There's absolutely nothing they had to gain by doing this.
People have to be held accountable for what they do, regardless of how they're feeling, because there are a lot of abused people who don't commit crimes.
Our criminal justice system asks jurors to find solutions to difficult problems, problems that we as a society have yet to resolve. The challenge for the Menendez jurors is to decide how to balance our traditional rules of legal responsibility with new notions about what makes people tick.
I'm very calm. I don't know why.
As the trial begins, the media takes over.
I keep saying to myself, why aren't you nervous today? I think it's because I know this case so well.
Breaking arm there.
And you'll need a scorecard to keep up with all the lawyers. Co-counsel Michael Burt is assisting Jill Lansing, and Marcia Morrissey will back up Leslie Abramson. And teaming up with prosecutor Pamela Bazanich is Lester Kuriyama.
I've lived this case. I've lived their lives for 3.5 years. So there's nothing to be nervous about. I know it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Judge Stanley Weisberg presides. He's no stranger to high-profile cases, having tried the first Rodney King case. He's allowed one camera, a robotic camera, to record the proceedings.
We'll now proceed with opening statements, first from the
Prosecutor Pamela Bazanich lays out the state's case for first-degree premeditated murder.
We will prove to you that Lyle Menendez planned this murder, provided false identification for the purchase of 2 shotguns, set up an alibi, acquired ammunition, repeated the alibi to the police shortly after the crime, and then set off to spend the money which he had acquired through the killings of his parents. Based upon this evidence, it will become apparent that this murder was unlawful, unjustified, and wholly premeditated.
But that's not how the defense sees it. Attorney Leslie Abramson introduces the element of abuse.
Eric Menendez was the abused son of wealthy parents. He killed his parents because he could no longer endure their abuse and had to stop it. When he did that, he unwittingly made himself